Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Morco, and this is the Long Hill Report. Today we are glad to have a gentleman here who represents a great, relatively new institution in Sturbridge called Sawdust Coffee House
And dessert bar.
and Dessert Bar. My wife and I went there for their lovely dark roast coffee. I'm sorry if you don't like coffee, you're missing out because that dark roast is really superb. And the banana muffin I had, my wife also had a muffin, hit the spot as well. We went back and she had the barbecued roast beef panini, and I had the three cheese grilled cheese.
Yeah, four.
Four
Yep.
cheese, grilled cheese, and that they both hit the spot. We both had beers from, you had them from Amber's Brewery,
Yes.
the IPAs,
Yep.
and it was lovely, lovely little interlude. And it's really wonderful to see the world come back after COVID and be able to sit in a place, eat something lovely, and not do the dishes. And a young man here, Pete Champagne, provided that for us. He's the impresario of the Sawdust Coffee Coffee Bar and Coffee House and Dessert Bar.
Yep.
I'll get it right sooner or later. You know, we don't hire professionals here. We just do it ad hoc. But so here we are to introduce you to Pete Champagne. He can tell you how he started in this business, where it's going, and what the future brings. Pete, welcome to.
Thank you for
the
having
Long Hill
me.
Report.
Appreciate it. And thanks for the kind words about the business. That's greatly appreciated. It's definitely been a trying year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I've been in the business for restaurants for about 20 years. I bartended for a long time to get through college. And then about 6 years ago, my brother is a part of Niche Hospitality. And I started working for them as their craftsman to build out their restaurants. So the Fix Burger Joint is one of the kind of their premier ones for restaurants, located in Worcester, Marlborough, and they just flipped a restaurant in Leominster as one. So the one in Worcester was my baby, I guess you'd call it, and I pretty much any woodworking, concrete work in there, every tabletop, the bar. I built everything, so it was nice. A lot of the woodworking, so a lot of the finish work and stuff, and kind of did that for about 5 years with them. And Mike Cavino, who's the majority owner, a long time ago, we had actually looked at a restaurant together. He always wanted to do the restaurants, and I always wanted to do a bed and breakfast with a pub. And he was way ahead of me by a good 15, 20 years, and so this past year, I was finally able to pull off what I wanted to do. And Sawdust Coffee House is just something I came up with. I had the name well before the business, and it's been good so far. So can't complain.
Did you do all the work?
Yeah. So people always
because it really came out very nicely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. People always ask where did the name come up from, and it's just because I built it. That's one thing I'm really proud at, and it's probably the only reason why I was able to open it is because of the money I saved doing the labor. My brother-in-law helped, and some other friends helped do stuff, but I did the majority of the work: the bars, the tabletops, the woodwork, the kitchen, and just the good thing. Like I said, I've been in the restaurant business, so the Board of Health loves the way the kitchen's done because it's FRP and stainless steel. It's easy to clean. So I tried to, all the positives and negatives that I've learned over the years, and it definitely helped from my brother's restaurants and a little tutelage from them and stuff. It's come to fruition, and it's definitely a blessing. COVID forced me to do certain things and take away certain things, and it definitely forced me to learn every aspect of the business. So knock on wood, hopefully everything continues.
Well, certainly it's a great spot. It's the light. It comes in very nicely. It's a cheery space.
Yeah, it's the one thing I always especially with my brothers, the Fix, the thing I've learned is that atmosphere to draw people in. And my thing I always had told people is that if somebody's driving in, Sturbridge is a tourist town, you know, you have OSV right there, and if people say, hey, there's a coffee house, let's stop and grab a coffee before we hit the road, and then your goal is that you want people to come in and look at the space and be like, wow, this is really cool, let's actually stay here. And, you know, the idea is you want people to spend money so you can make money, and that's the biggest compliment I get is the atmosphere. People love it. It's homey, it's welcoming, it's warm. And that's what I've tried to bring, and so far it's been successful. So hopefully that continues too.
So you have, I guess, a chef, or do you do most of the cooking? Or?
No, so when COVID first hit, yes, I was the cook. It was me. I only had, from starting with a staff of, I think it was 11 or 12, we went right down to 4. We had opened the 2 weeks right before COVID had started. So that was tough. My brother had, you know, talked to me and kind of was more my psychologist for a little while and be like, you know, stick with it. You've got a good concept. Give it a good month. And, you know, he came out and we went through the menu, and, you know, I had known it, but I wasn't cooking it. I was running more the front end part, and got forced in to do the cooking. But now I have a cook, Lisa, who's just a sweetheart. You know, she's unbelievable cook. She's talented. She's creative. And then I have another, Michelle. So those two are great. Just, you know, fantastic. My staff I love. I've been very lucky. You know, here and there you've had to let some people go. People have left. They've moved. You know, when COVID started, we had to release everybody just because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know when or if we could bring them back. So, but new staff coming on. The girl who I always wanted to manage, Rochelle, finally was ready for it, and she's just...
Did she start out just on the line, or?
Yeah, she was more like front-end help, kind of like a shift manager, and she's just... You couldn't ask for anything more from somebody, so... and most of my staff is like that, so it's been good. Anybody who's in management knows how to cook now, which is great. So if they're getting, you know, hit in the kitchen and it's busy, we can jump right on board and help out, and that's a good thing. So we try to, anybody who comes to work for me, and for us, we try to have them be able to multitask. You have to learn all the coffees. If you're old enough to serve alcohol, we try to get you so you know how to make the basic drinks that we have and stuff. And so everybody's well-rounded. It makes them more valuable to the business. And we try to treat everybody really good and professional. So it's been good.
Well, the menu and the whole setup is, you start in the morning,
Yep.
the coffee and the breakfast items sort of, and then you go and have a lunch. But you also have that bar
Yep.
that seems to be very concentrating on the cocktails more.
Yeah, so every day at 11 we open the bar. You can come in and have a drink, sit at the bar and eat your lunch or whatever. And then the big thing is I live in Sturbridge, and we would go out to dinner. And a lot of times when you go out, you know, as soon as you're done, the waitress or waiter will come over and ask you, you know, would you like to see a dessert menu? And you're like, no, I'm full. Like, I love dessert, but I'm not ready for it. And, me and my wife are in my 50s, and we love music. And we would go to the Duck, but the music would shut down at 10. And it's like, you know I'm in my 50s, but I wouldn't mind. I don't need to be out till 2 anymore, but it would be nice to be out till 11:30 or 12. So when we started looking at it, I was like, well, what if we brought music in? And then just Friday and Saturday nights only, we brought in solos or duos to play, and got a full liquor license, and really do the dessert bar part, which would be specialty desserts and dessert martinis, as well as, you know, we do craft beer to support local breweries. No real domestic beer at all. Nice wine selection, red, white, blush, champagne, and then so one of the things people will be like, oh, your drinks are a little pricey. My thing is I bartended a long time, and nothing but top shelf liquors. I mean, some of your mixers you have to use, but you know, I don't like cheap booze. It usually gives you a headache. So we try to make sure that if you're getting a drink, it's well worth it. It's the upper echelon of alcohol. So there's, you know, the top shelf stuff. So we started doing the dessert martinis and stuff, and they sell. It works out great. The bar's a big success. You know, the music's been really good. We have actually, I'm booked almost all the way through October already for musicians. I get at least 3 or 4 people a week that message me, hey, I'd love to play there. So right now, we're really not trying to book anymore because we want to bring certain people back. But we try to do like a 3-month rotation just so you don't have the same people there all the time. And it works out great. You know, you come in, you can have some, we have a late night menu, the full bar, desserts and stuff. And
A late night menu other than desserts?
yeah, so the late night menus, it's very small. The idea is more to come in and have dessert and drinks, but if you came in and you were hungry, we do like a flatbread pizza. We have a giant pretzel, we do a buffalo dip, we have a regular mac and cheese, a buffalo mac and cheese, hummus board and a cheese board. So there's something for you to eat if you are hungry. And we don't call it really dinners. It's more of that kind of munching food, appetizers almost. But at least if you didn't have like a regular meal, you could get something that would, you know, suffice.
Go with what you're drinking.
Yes. Yep.
So the dessert drink combinations, how'd you come up with it? I know you've got long experience as a bartender, so you probably were the one who decided what was going to be served what. How'd you come up with the complimentary desserts and everything?
So it was really just finding the right pieces to fall in place, the bakers, what they could do, what they like to do. One thing we're definitely not is a bakery. Big distinction. You know, we have cupcakes and we do cakes and stuff, but the idea is to have, I don't know how to really term it, I guess more of a comfort style dessert. We have a pastry chef now that we utilize too, and they almost have free reign. We touch base each week, like, what do you think? But we do like whoopie pies and Rice Krispie treats, but they're that kind of that upper echelon of a dessert, you know. Yeah. So it's been well, you know. It's just we in the morning we have, you know, the muffins and stuff, and then we do like sometimes we have Pop-Tarts and stuff. But it was just like in the beginning, I have a friend, I always called her my mentor. She would tell me, go visit coffee houses and take notes. What do you like about them? What don't you like? What do you want to do? What do you envision doing? And I just always thought dessert was something that would bring people in, because a lot of times you just want to go somewhere else, you know, and get out and be out for the night. So desserts just kind of seemed like the thing. But we try to, I actually have a new baker coming on. She just started. My original baker, who's just a wonderful human in general, and one of the best bakers I've ever had. Her stuff is just amazing. But she's unfortunately moving to North Carolina. Her husband's in the service, and he got stationed down there.
It is a degree of difficulty to bring her product up here again.
Yes.
I can see where that might have that might have been as the saying goes, that might be a bridge too far.
Yes.
So does your new baker, does she have different specialties?
So she's young. She's right out of Tantascwa in the culinary arts program. A lot of times I go with my gut and my heart, and I had a couple of people apply and interviewed them, and they were well qualified and great, you know, just wonderful people. But I looked at her as being young and being able to mold her to what I want to do, not what she can do. She's going to work with the pastry chef and the other baker, and she's young. She's not going to college. This is what she wants to do. So my hope is that, you know, she stays on board for a long time, and hopefully, you know, many, many years. So she does cupcakes. She does cakes. The stuff that she's made is very good. So it's just, you know, just working with her and what are the expectations, and really trying to figure out. The one thing with COVID is that it's kind of hit or miss. You know, sometimes you do a ton of products. Everything we make is homemade, made from scratch, made in house. And sometimes you don't know what it's going to bring, because we don't have any real things to go by. We can't say, oh, last year on this date we did this, because that's all out the window. Yeah. So it's really trying to figure out, all right, like right now it seems with the heat, you don't sell as much during the day. On the weekends you sell more pastries and desserts, but so it's really working with her and it's better to run out than to have over, and then have to either, usually what we try to do is we give it away, we donate it and stuff. Certain people will come in and, if little kids come in, hey, can they have a dessert? This is on the house, those little things. So, but she's a sweetheart. I think she'll do really well. I think she'll blossom, and my hope is that she really succeeds and helps us succeed more.
So she works in all your baking is done in house, even though you're not a bakery per se.
Right. Yep. At night, what they do is, because the kitchen closes at 4, we close at 5 Monday through Thursday. So she'll come in after, and she'll bake at night. On the weekends, she'll be there on Friday and Saturday nights, because we're trying to get it out there, and also for Saturday morning. So we want that fresh product and stuff. So between the 3 of them, we work it out where each day somebody's in differently, or if they're coming in at different times, depending. Just because our kitchen, it's not bad, but it's definitely not, it's tough if you have more than 2 people in there working. If they're both doing different items, it's a little tight.
Okay. Well, you seem to get it out though, so.
Yes, yeah, it's Leah, who is the one that's moving. She's fantastic, and we have Christine, who's the pastry chef. We've got Erin, and now we have Lily. So they all work well together, and just each one does certain things that they like to kind of specialize in. Unfortunately, I have to taste test a lot of it, and
it's a hard life.
It's a difficult job.
It's a tough, dirty job.
The weight is coming
I know.
on.
I can find a volunteer.
My
I probably
staff
find
is
a lot of
always-
volunteers.
Yeah, can we try this? Oh, yeah. We did that yesterday. We tried 2 different tarts, and at the end of it, I was like, I think I need a nap.
Yeah, I can see where that would come into play. No, knowing when to stop is something we learn with age.
Yes. So we now, instead of eating it on my own, I cut it up and make sure everyone tastes it and see what they think too. Oh.
So the concept of the whole place, did this just kind of evolve in your mind? Because you've been doing work within, carpentry, and how the heck did it happen?
So originally, my idea was there was another little place next to Basketville, the old Basketville in Sturbridge, and I had it under contract to buy it was the Red House at the time. So my original thing that I wanted to do, because I love doing custom furniture and more the kind of the rustic industrial style. I have a log home, so I've made most of the furniture in my house. So I really enjoyed that, and I've worked for a couple of different builders. I have my contractor's license and stuff, and so my thought was to have a small coffee house in that space, but also a workshop. I had the full plan together and stuff, but I didn't have the parking, so I was trying to work something out with the building next door, but they didn't have the additional parking, and you almost needed like a cut through so that it would be like, how the Duck is, it's like one way in. It was kind of like that, but a narrow driveway, and they couldn't do it because they would have to lose 2 spaces and because of the size of the building and all the tenants and stuff. So that kind of fell apart on me, and my lawyer was the one who had said, hey, have you looked at the spot at Old Sturbridge Village? That could be a potential place. So when I first went in, and I'm like thinking, well, I can't really do the wood shop part of it. And then talking with the Board of Health, the types of things you would have to do, where if you had a wood shop, you can't just have a door that opens into the coffee shop. You'd almost have to have like a changing chamber and stuff. But the idea was always like people could be having coffee and whatever. It was really coffee and breakfast. But to see, you're working in there, if you're building a table and all the work that goes into that stuff. So with the space I'm in now, I was like, I really can't do that. So what do I want to do? And so I had looked at it and I was like, I'm not sure, and called the broker back again and went back again and kind of just walked it and started just, when I used to build stuff, especially with smaller projects, I just kind of visualize, you go into space and you try to see what it could be. And just started doodling on the paper and like, well, I could put a bar in. If I did a bar, I could do a dessert bar and have music. There's really only one place in town, and when T.J. O'Brien's closed, there was no more music there. So I'm like, it would be nice, and if we did the 2 nights a week, the late night, we might have something. And just kind of kept going over it and talking to different people, like, hey, what do you think if I was to do this in town? And all right, can we do it? Do I have enough of things to make this work financially and stuff? And, figured out, all right, I think I can pull it off. I just got to do the work myself. So I had a couple of good friends that helped me out. My brother-in-law was one that helped me out too. And finally, pitching it to the town, they loved the idea. And the town was actually really good to work with.
Nobody in the town said, hey, we want your wood shop there.
Yeah.
Come on, you got to put that back.
Yeah.
Nobody said that.
No, the town, it's funny, a lot of people, Sturbridge had a bad rap, for a while working with. And I think one of the good things I did in the beginning was I always went to the town with questions like, hey, I'm thinking of doing a certain type of business. What are the steps I would need to do? And I think when you do that type of thing and have kind of a plan and an outline, and you're able to talk to them and they can help to guide you through what you need to do, it's much better when, sometimes people will buy a place or they'll rent something and then they go to the town. And I think if you approach it a little differently, the town's very, very willing to work with you and help you out along the way. And I have nothing but high praise to say for the town because they've been fantastic. So.
Well, that's really good because I don't want to say anything, but the town did have kind of a hard guy rep for a while.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, I know there are some, I won't name the town, I kind of sort of deal with the town towards the west that has a reputation as a rule-making machine.
Yeah.
If we don't have a rule, we'll make it up.
Yep.
Right away, too. And we'll make it hard. So it's really good to see that there are people encouraging the small business people to work in the area. And that's great. I'm glad to,
Yeah, I definitely.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, the town's been good to me. I can say that, especially with COVID too. So.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have this feeling we should try and get along.
It's hard.
Yeah, it has been a very what was it? What's the thing? The Chinese curses.
Yeah.
May you live in interesting times.
Yes.
With war, rape, plunder, and pillage. So that's good. Now, coffee, of course, as I mentioned, is dear to my heart.
Yes.
Are you sourcing coffee and roasting it in-house? And
So we don't roast in-house. So we use Good as Gold out of Worcester. Mm-hmm. It's a family-run business. They've been in business for, I believe, about 50 years. The dad started it. I think that's how it was said. It's a father and son. Fantastic people to work with. So when I worked for my brother's restaurants, and I started thinking about this, I dealt with Westermans for equipment, and I had asked them, like, hey, I'm looking for coffee equipment to get an idea of monetarily, like, what's my expenses going to be with just equipment alone, so when I go to the bank. And he said, look at Good as Gold. They're an excellent company to deal with for coffee roasters. So I went and talked to them and hit it off with them. Type of guys that if you like coffee, you could sit there for hours, and the knowledge base that these guys have is unbelievable. And so my thing was, when I was doing coffee, you don't want to have too much. And we have flavors to put in our coffee, but I don't like doing flavored coffee, because what happens if you make a whole pot of it, and we had some in the beginning, but it didn't sell. So now you're just pouring money out.
Right.
So the idea was really to have a good dark roast, which is a Sumatra from them. The house blend, our house blend is very unique. When I went to them, I had said, this is what I'm looking for, but I want a signature blend, something that nobody else has and nobody else can have. And they're like, we can do that for you. They do air roasting. So what we do is we'll have it every time. It will be the same amount of each bean. So it's a 4-bean blend. I always forget the 4, but I know it's Colombian, Peru. Another type is Burundi, which is a very unique bean. On its own, it's a very nice coffee. And I always forget what, I want to say Tanzania maybe. It's just a small amount. But I didn't,
Tanzania?
yeah. I didn't want anything too bitter, and I didn't want anything too acidic. I wanted something that when you drank it, if you drink it just black, and you have that flavor, that something you would have a nice taste that would linger. And so we went in and sat down, and he's like, I did 4 different blends for you. And it was a fun day. I actually, a friend of mine.
You never fell asleep.
Yeah, it was, yeah, we were zinging. It was, you know, because you probably ended up having, 2 or 3 cups of each going back and forth. And a girl that works for me was with me that day because she was helping me with my brother's restaurants. And I'm like, just think you'll never be forgotten in my whole life, because it was me and you who picked out the coffee. And it was a blast. We finally came up with this one. I forget, it was either number 3 or 4 out of the bunch. And it's a great, a medium house blend to go along with the dark roast of Sumatra. And then we just have a house blend of decaf too. So we sell a ton of, the house is unbelievable for a cellar. We do it in an iced coffee, just like the Sumatra. So we have all of them as decaf. The Sumatra in the house as ice or hot, freshly brewed every day. So it's been good. That house blend though, if you haven't had it, you like the Sumatra, I highly suggest trying the house blend.
No, I'll do the dark roast. The dark roast was just
That's
a
a
pleasure.
really, I like Sumatra. Our house is, it's just a different flavor,
Well, there are a few greater pleasures than to just sit and have nothing to do
Yeah.
but sip your coffee. Have a muffin with it too if you want.
Yep.
But the coffee is the thing. And a dark roast is a special thing.
I'm glad you enjoyed.
I do. Well, so are you have expansion plans or any, what's the future?
Crazily, I am looking at potentially doing another. I don't know why, but there's a possibility. I'm kind of looking at some spaces and stuff, just kind of putting it out there to see, possibly, maybe in a year or 2. But I have a real estate agent that's kind of looking at spaces and stuff, kind of going in. Same idea though, something with a bar, able to do entertainment. Have to find the right town, kind of the same style as Sturbridge, something that's a foodie town with multiple restaurants, and having a coffee house that kind of sits somewhere right around those. That's really it. We expanded. We put the patio during last summer outside, so that's been really nice. Right now, it was full when I left there today, so that was good.
Yeah.
So for the location in Sturbridge, really just kind of trying to keep it fresh. Chili comes off the menu this week, and then
Because
for
of
the
the hot
summer,
weather?
yeah, we make big batches, so it's we don't, in the summer we don't really sell it. We bring back chicken salad, which is a great summertime
Yes, it
seller,
is, yeah.
and then we'll start doing we'll try to do a specialty salad every week. So we're looking at just those things, but keeping it kind of simple. The big thing is trying to be consistent with our food and our coffee, consistent with our service, trying to be as fast as we can, but always giving the same product. So lots of training that we do. Change up the craft beers and stuff. The wine, we just redid the wine list. And then we try to do drink specials every week, different desserts, kind of try to go with seasonal stuff too, now that apples are starting to come back, and
yes.
you've got strawberries and rhubarb and blueberries, so try to do some pies and stuff this summer. And but it's hard because you never want to get out of your element. A lot of people will say, hey, you should add this or you should add that, but you want to keep the menu small and simple. We're not a regular, the high-end restaurant. We try to provide a good sandwich, something that will fill you up, a nice side with it, and have the certain offerings. But if the menu gets too big, then you end up killing the kitchen, and it's too much for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Never. Our motto in the Long Hill Report is never overthink.
Yeah.
So getting the right level is pretty tough.
Yeah, we just, like my cook Lisa's great, like even, quiche, you try to, change it up. We always do a veggie, but like, spinach and feta, or we'll do a meat, or, whatever we think. We have the flatbread pizzas. We've got about 10 or 12 different ones, but we only run 3 every week. And the idea is that we change them up, but we always have the veggie, and then, like this week we're doing a broccoli Alfredo. We'll have pepperonis and chicken, and try to change it up, but just so you don't always have that same thing.
Exactly.
We have our staple menu, and then we try to branch out a little bit, but not too much, because inventory-wise, it's difficult. Spatially, it's difficult. We put a walk-in cooler and freezer in last year, which has been a tremendous help. But because of the space, it's tough to have too much product, and you want to keep everything fresh too.
Of course.
So hopefully it keeps working out that way.
Well, we certainly hope so, because if there were ever a famine of dark roast, it would be terrible. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yep.
It's nice to get the word out.
Good, and I look forward to coming back to Sawdust Cafe. We've had peach champagne of the Sawdust Coffee House and Dessert Bar, and it's quite an addition to Sturbridge. So this has been Richard Murphy and the Long Hill Report, and thanks for coming.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.